Hello and welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all of the masterpieces and trashterpieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
Didn't Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando make a film together?
I don't know.
What was that film?
I have no idea.
What was that film?
What was that film? Well, it's not this.
That's right, everyone. We've come to the end of Summer Screams. And it is time. A film that when I watched it when we watched it in 2021 in the cinema, we were struggling to contain our laughter. Because this is bad. This is really bad. It has its followers, people who think it's a good film. Baffling to me, but you do you, hun. We are talking about Old from 2021.
We are, yes. It's hard to describe because, I mean, it was the breakout comedy of 2021, but I don't think it was meant to be the breakout comedy of 2021.
This film has some of the most baffling dialogue and performances I have ever witnessed in a mainstream horror film at the cinema at the time of release.
Well, surely we weren't the only ones laughing. I'm trying to...
No, everyone was taking it really seriously in our screening, which is a fucking miracle because you watch a 15-rated horror film here in the UK and there's going to be some fucking arseholes messing around on their phones or doing loud noises. And this film, everyone was fucking silent and really into it. Yeah. And me and Chris were the ones trying to hold back our laughter. This is our first film on the podcast that is written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, yeah.
Director, of course, of The Sixth Sense, Split, Unbreakable, The Village, Signs, The Visit, Lady in the Water, and more. Widely known as one of the most inconsistent directors working today.
What did I like?
Split. Yeah.
I think that's it.
The Visit.
Yeah, it was alright.
So, I mean, I love Split. I love The Visit. I really liked Knock at the Cabin this year.
Okay,
that was really good. I like Signs for what I can remember of it. I've never seen Sixth Sense. We've never seen Sixth Sense.
No.
We obviously know the twist. But his bad, I think it may outweigh his good. I mean, we weren't fans of Unbreakable, were we?
No. Or Glass. Glass
was fucking terrible. I've seen Lady in the Water and it is abysmal. I've seen The Village. Wasn't a fan of that either. It's a weird career. It's a very, very strange career. And he's a guy who obviously prides himself on his twists. Prides himself on taking himself very seriously. Before production, he actually screened 2 films for his cast and crew, which were said to be big influences on the style and tone that he wanted for Old. The first was Walkabout by Nicholas Roeg.
Yeah.
And the second was Picnic at Hanging Rock by Peter Weir, one of our favourite films.
Yeah.
Shyamalan described them as stories about human beings struggling against the overwhelming power of nature. Films where nature becomes something mysterious, overwhelming, almost supernatural. Yeah, you didn't really achieve that here.
No.
It's an insult to Picnic at Hanging Rock.
It is. To Australian films, actually, which I'm surprised he wouldn't have maybe set this in Australia, but...
Yeah. Well, he was also usually influenced by filmmaker Louis Buñuel's famous satire, The Exterminating Angel.
I see.
Another film about a group of characters that find themselves trapped in an otherwise benign location and unable to leave. He was so influenced by it that he made the logo of Old's beach resort set in a white palm leaf, the exact same palm leaf that features in the opening shot of the film.
Which is interesting.
It's interesting.
This film felt like satire at times.
Yeah.
It really, and I just... It's one of those really strange sort of films that if he came out and said, yeah, this is a comedy, guys, this is meant to be fun and it's a parody, I would have believed him.
Yeah.
I actually would have believed, not like The Room, but I actually would have believed him. I was like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan's doing his comedy now, fantastic, switching it up. But he wasn't. It's not a satire. It's not a farce.
No. What it is an adaptation of a 2010 graphic novel by writer Pierre Oscar Levy, who and an artist Frederick Peters, called Sandcastle.
Okay.
When asked what inspired him to adapt the book to film, M. Night Shyamalan explained, "The book gave me the opportunity to work through a lot of anxieties I had around death and aging, and things like my parents getting older."
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a post-COVID film.
Yeah, I will say the premise of this film is great, and
Yeah.
it has the potential to be a very intense film. I mean, being stuck on a beach where you're aging another year every half an hour, that's terrifying. But the execution is a different story.
It's true. It has great potential.
Yeah.
And the story has great potential. And it doesn't fulfill that potential, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like you said, it was around the time of coronavirus, when it was at its height, and that's when it was filmed. Was it when it was at its height? So they had to be tested daily for potential infections. And he said of production, the main priority was to keep everyone safe and well, despite all of us living and working together over a period of months. No one became sick, which was fantastic, which is a great thing, despite the film being awful. Well done. Budget, $18 million, and it made $90.2 million at the box office. This was a hit.
Yeah. I think the advertising worked well.
Yeah. Yeah, there was lots of trailers.
Lots of trailers, lots of advertising. It made it look like a different film.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drew people in.
That, and, you know, it was post-COVID cinema. Wasn't a lot of horror films being released.
Yeah,
And summer horror film.
But M. Night Shyamalan, yes, inconsistent, but
everyone goes back.
Everyone goes back. Yeah. They do.
To see what it's going to be this time.
What it's going to be, you know, and what is the twist? What is the big reveal? What is the water cooler moment?
Yeah.
The one you'll be talking about, you know, at work the next day.
Well, before we get to the frankly disappointing twist and the rest of the film, should we talk about who's in it?
Yes, in a section we like to call, "Hey, you were 6 years old this month." Sorry, excuse me. Hey, I know you.
This film takes a great cast and gets them to deliver some of the worst performances I've ever seen. I don't understand it. Gael Garcia Bernal plays Guy Kappa. He was in Mozart in the Jungle and Your Mother 2, The Motorcycle Diaries, Amores Perros, Werewolf by Night, Roma, Coco, and more. So, I mean, you know, I feel like there's a much better performance that could have been had here.
Yeah, fantastic Mexican actor, really well renowned in Mexico and in America. Been in some fantastic films and given some fantastic performances, like really top notch. And I have no idea what was going on with this film.
Yeah, the same could be said about Vicky Creeps, who plays Prisca Kappa, his wife.
How are we pronouncing that? Let's get this out.
Prisca.
Prisca.
Yeah,
Prisca. Yeah. Yes.
Star of
Phantom. That's not how you said it. No, that's why I questioned it.
Star of Phantom Thread, The Colony, Hannah, The Wall, The Girl in the Spider's Web, The Survivor, Corsage, Bergman Island, Outside the Box, and more. Her performance is bizarre. I don't even know what they're going for.
No, so she's from Luxembourg, with Luxembourg-ish and German heritage.
Yeah.
So she has an accent.
Yeah.
And it feels like she's been told to really play up the accent.
Yeah. It sounds fake.
Let's be honest.
It sounds fake.
It sounds fake.
It's her real accent, but the performance that Shyamalan's directed here, it doesn't sound like her real accent.
No. And it's perfectly reasonable to say, you know, use your accent. But it feels really put on. And I don't know how they've managed this.
Yeah.
This is what I don't understand, is how they've managed to make her sound... Well, her accent sounds so strong. Yeah. Not to the point of incoherent. I know what she's saying, but sounds almost funny.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about it. The fact that every time she says beach, it sounds like she's saying bitch.
It's true.
Let's talk about it, because it's high camp.
It's high.
It's so funny.
Her entire performance is high camp.
Her whole performance. But the pinnacle, the cherry on top of all of this is the fact that every time, and this she says beach a lot.
Yeah.
Every time she says beach, it sounds like she says bitch. And it's funny. It's so funny.
Yeah. And of course, if that's her real accent, then that's not us saying she has a funny voice.
No.
But it's this performance that has been directed here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
And the only way I can describe it is her and her husband in the film. It sounds like every time they speak, it sounds like they're giving an interesting fact of the day. It's like, oh, so fun fact, this beach, there's something wrong with this beach. Like it's so weird. It genuinely sounds like it's like, oh, here's Guy and Prisca's fun fact of the day.
It's kind of
every line of dialogue.
It's like it's stilted.
Yeah.
And it's trying to be like at moments where there's high emotion. It's even worse.
Yeah.
Because it sounds kind of stiff and stilted. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe without, and I don't want to like get into doing impressions and such, but I also don't understand how the kids didn't have an accent.
That is a very good point.
That's confusing.
That is a very good point because they both have very strong accents.
Very strong accents, and the kids don't have strong accents.
Our listeners will find out what she sounds like soon if they haven't seen the film.
Of course.
When we play the trailer.
Yes.
Rufus Sewell plays Charles. He was in Dark City, The Illusionist, A Knight's Tale, Judy, The Father, The Holiday, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Hercules, The Sea, The Legend of Zorro, and more. Again, prolific actor.
Yeah. Does he always play pricks?
Maybe.
I think he's a bit typecast as the obnoxious guy. I'm just thinking The Holiday, mate. Maybe I'm just thinking The Holiday. But his face, the moment I see his face, because I love The Holiday, I've seen it numerous times, and he's so mean and so horrible to Kate Winslet that maybe I'm just biased because of that one single film. Maybe I'm the problem.
Another bad performance. Again, British accent, and he is making that apparent as well.
Yeah. His character actually could have really called for some real acting. Yeah. We'll get into a lot of this, but yeah. Yeah.
That's. I mean, what else can you say?
We'll get into it as we need receipts, so we need to back up our claims.
Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned faces.
Did I?
You did mention faces. There is an actor in this who has a stupid face on his face.
Oh, of course he has a stupid face on his face.
Yes, that's right. Alex Wolff from Hereditary is in this, playing the teenage version of Trent Capper, age 15. Certainly was not 15. He, also, as well as Hereditary, is in Pig, Patriots Day, Oppenheimer, The Sitter, My Friend Dharma, The House of Tomorrow, The Naked Brothers Band, and more.
Oh, okay.
Him and his brother Nat Wolff from Naked Brothers Band.
I never watched that. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
That's the power of the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into it even more.
Thomasin McKenzie plays Maddox Capper, age 16. Star of Leave No Trace, Jojo Rabbit, Last Night in Soho, The Power of the Dog, Justice of Bunny King, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, and more. And again, that's a lot of great films there. Jojo Rabbit, Last Night in Soho, Power of the Dog, Justice of Bunny King. They're all so good. And she's so good in all of them.
Yeah.
She's not the worst performance in this, I will say that. It's not great.
No, and she's from New Zealand, and she's quite sort of famous for her accent.
Yeah.
And I like her accent, and I like the way that she speaks.
Mm-hmm.
But she puts on an American accent
Yeah.
for this film.
Yeah.
Okay.
And finally, Ken Lung plays Jarin Carmichael. He was in Industry, Lost, The Sopranos, Saw, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Red Dragon, Missing, Rush Hour, AI: Artificial Intelligence, X-Men: The Last Stand, and more. Did you know who was in Missing?
No.
The mum's new.
Oh, of course. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, that's cool.
And do you know what? He's great in that. He's even great in X-Men: The Last Stand, a film that isn't very good. He was great in Saw. Yeah. This his performance is up there as one of the worst.
It's true. It's true.
So
just one that I've got.
Yeah.
Embeth Davids
Mm-hmm.
plays Adult Maddox. And she's most famous for The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Bridget Jones's Diary, Army of Darkness, 13 Ghosts remake, The Hole, and, of course, her most famous role, Matilda. Not as Matilda, but as Mrs.
Wow.
Miss Honey?
Okay.
Who's the nice teacher? Miss Honey. Oh, there you go, Miss Honey. If I'm wrong, what are you going to do about it?
And with that being said, let's get into our feature presentation.
Are we there yet?
This beach, it's beautiful.
My swimsuit is hurting.
They do look small.
Come on, let's play hide and seek.
Have you seen my children?
Mom, I'm right here.
He was 6 years old this morning.
Oh no.
Mom, I'm scared.
There's something wrong with this beach.
We were chosen for a reason.
What's happening?
I don't know.
I can't think.
Old. Only in theaters this summer.
As you've just heard, the trailer features two very distinct lines of dialogue. First, there is, "This morning you were 6 years old."
Yes.
Second, there's something wrong with this bitch.
Yes.
These lines do not appear in the film.
These lines do
unfortunately.
not.
We were waiting.
So
We could not wait.
so disappointed. We
So
really
camp.
were. They're so camp, and I would have given the film an extra half a star if it had featured these lines. So disappointing.
But the first line of dialogue is up there with those as some of the best dialogue in cinematic history. So we meet Guy and Priska Kappa, who are going through a separation, and their young children, Maddox and Trent. Maddox is singing along to Remain by Suleika Night Shyamalan. Nepo Baby.
Nepo Baby.
And, you know, he really wanted to get his daughter singing in this film because fuck me, we hear it like 1,000 times.
We do.
First,
It's not a bad song.
But no,
it was giving me
didn't need it that many times.
To be honest, it was giving me a little bit of Sia.
Wow.
I did think it was a Sia film. Song.
Sia film. We do not need another Sia film.
Well, we certainly won't be watching that Sia film.
First line of dialogue in the film that isn't singing. Priska, "Sing it, girl! You have such a beautiful voice. I can't wait to hear it when you're older."
To which Maddox abruptly stops singing, and Trent informs his mother that her supportive words have ruined the spontaneity of Maddox's singing. And I just put in my notes, I hate children.
Trent talks like a fucking arsehole, like, throughout this entire film. Like, every age, he just talks like a fucking idiot.
It's like so rude. You know, it's giving me like Charlotte's kids in and just like that. How they're just like really horrible to him. Like, she's being supportive, you twat. It would be horrible.
To avoid saddening their young children, the couple take them to a tropical resort as a final family vacation.
No.
As they're at their hotel, Guy and Priska are given complimentary drinks, and the children befriend Idlib, who is the resort manager's nephew.
The hotel really is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. Priska cannot believe that she found this online. I'm like, where else is she going to find it, hun? She's like, I can't believe I found this online. What are you going to do? Anyone go to travel agents anymore? Why was it so weird that she found it online? Trent informs Idlib that he loves completing 10,000-piece jigsaws and hanging them on his wall. Idlib collects conch shells and has 42.
Lovely.
So pleased to know these facts about these kids. But it's literally, and so much of the dialogue, I think my biggest problem with this film is, well, they're connected. So it's the dialogue and it's the delivery of the dialogue.
Yeah, and obviously with the kids, the fact that Trent is trying to talk like he's an old man is a little bit of foreboding with the fact that soon enough he is going to be an old man.
Yeah.
And like the singing at the start, it's like, oh, I wish I could hear you when you're older. But you are going to hear her singing when she's older.
Yeah.
And there's like dumb pieces of foreboding. It's like, come on.
It just is like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. You know, isn't it ironic that she's saying this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And it does annoy me that what I feel like they have the kids talking like this is to make it easier later on, so you're not forcing older actors to talk like children.
Yeah.
So there's that ambiguity there. So, because it's something that confuses me throughout. It's like, well, how... Obviously, they're physically changing, but what is happening with their development, educational development with these kids? Are they still... Because there's parts where they're still sort of 5, 6 years old... But then, as they develop, they use phrases and say things.
It's very inconsistent.
Don't really make sense.
Yeah.
It is inconsistent.
Because there is one scene where one of the kids says, "Oh, my mind has changed now as well." So you think they've developed like that, but then they'll go back to talking like a child again. It's
yeah,
like,
or not
which one is it?
understanding something that maybe they should understand.
They go to the beach.
Yeah.
Not that beach.
No.
They go to a beach.
A beach.
And Trent asks random people what their names are and what they do for a living. Gets annoying fast.
That'll help later.
When they answer, he says bye and walks away. He finds out that someone on the beach is a police officer.
Oh, that might be helpful later. Idlib, well, they're talking and Idlib says, "I don't have friends."
Well, he wants to play a truth-telling game.
Ruin the fun.
Yeah, he wants to play a truth-telling game. Trent's like, "I can't do push-ups." And Idlib's like, "I don't have friends." Oh, well, okay.
Do you know who else doesn't have friends? Who? Maddox.
Yeah.
Because she's struggling. And it's an interesting thing because she's there and she's sort of looking at older sort of kids, teenagers, and sort of like being apprehensive about talking to them. And it's an interesting part of the film and the idea that potentially she maybe want to get older.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a certain age, and we've all been there, you know, you want to grow up fast. You want to be able to turn 18 and start drinking or 21 or get your license and this, that and the other. And then once you're there and then you find yourself 10 years past that, you kind of want to go back. Yeah. You know, and it's about wishing your life away to get to a certain age, which I've managed to make way more interesting now. Not tooting my own horn, than the film manages to do. Because you have this little snippet and I've just made it into something that never really happened in the film, unfortunately. But it would have been a very interesting aspect. Yeah,
it's true.
And M. Night Shyamalan, he's acting as if he did do this. Yeah. This is what annoys me. It doesn't annoy me. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But what baffles me, I suppose, is the word, is that he's kind of acting as if he did all this. And there's this great meaning and this great theme to the film. But it doesn't. It over-explains certain things, but then doesn't make this aspect clear. The themes and the interesting ideas behind it all.
Yeah. At night, Maddox and Trent overhear their parents arguing and play a message decoding game with Idlib. The written code that the children use for this game resembles the code the Zodiac killer used in the San Francisco Bay Area murders of the early 70s. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? It's why would the kids know this code? And now that we know it, it feels really inappropriate.
It's just why?
But this is
why you're using this. Like,
this is another thing that I feel like they've deliberately done to make the kids seem older than they are.
yeah,
Like old souls, you
Uh-huh.
would say. They act much older than they actually are.
Yeah.
And
but it's like it's people. Do you think people are going to be in the cinema like, you clever bastard? That's the Zodiac killer codes. Oh my god! Why is this in there? Who's it for?
I mean, horror fans. I mean, I probably would have if I was more clued up. People do like true crime. Just in the context of the film, it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
My favourite bit of dialogue from this scene is when Priska says, "You're always thinking about the future. It makes me feel unseen." To which Guy replies, "You're always thinking about the past. You work in a goddamn museum." Ah.
The next morning.
Oh yeah, you're always thinking about the past. You work in a goddamn museum.
The next morning, the manager invites the family to a secluded beach where 3 additional parties are present. So, this is where we're introduced to new characters. We have rapper, Brendan Mid-Size Sedan, and his female companion, who doesn't get a name. Just female companion.
Mid-size sedan. That's a car, isn't it?
It's a car.
That's like a basic family-style car.
Yeah.
Mid-size sedan.
There's more to say about him, but we'll get
Is
to
that what Vicky Gunvalson was given when she wanted a bigger van?
I have
No,
no
a family van. Okay, anyway. That's for another time.
Surgeon Charles is elderly mother Agnes, his wife Crystal, and their young daughter Cara. And Jarin and Patricia Carmichael, a close-knit husband and wife. So, before we get to the point where they go to the beach, wow, Mid-Size Sedan is already there. And he's watching female companion go skinny dipping. Mid-Size Sedan. First of all, the name is obviously a parody of a rapper's name.
Yes.
Now, this character, we're 2 white guys in Salford. We're not here to talk about what's racist and what isn't racist. But there are points where this character feels pretty fucking racist.
It feels like a parody.
Yeah.
In a film that isn't a parody. So it comes across a little sort of bigoted, really. And I know it probably isn't meant to be. It is probably meant to be a nod to rappers and their names and such. But the way he speaks as well, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't sit well.
Every sentence starts with damn and yo. Out of everyone on the beach, he's the one who's accused of murder immediately.
Which would have been interesting if they had developed
that
more.
That's the thing. This is why it feels borderline racist. It's because that's a bit of social commentary that, especially with the time that it was released and everything.
Absolutely.
This would have been so interesting and really could have said something. But because it isn't dealt with, and spoiler alert, he's dead, like, by the time you reach the halfway point of the film, just because he's murdered by a racist man, it's kind of like, okay, just showing that doesn't deal with it.
No, it doesn't. And this is my biggest problem with the film, and you're going to hear me say it a lot, is that there's too many characters.
Yeah.
There's too many themes being brought up within the film, because this would have been interesting, Charles as the bigoted character who kills Brendan, that's an interesting story arc.
Yeah.
But then you've also got Crystal's story arc. You've then also got Kara's.
Yeah.
And then you've also got everyone else's. And it feels muddled. And it doesn't deal with it as fully as it should.
Yeah.
And when it's paired with what feels like a parody of hip-hop artists and rappers, it doesn't sit well with me.
No.
And again, like Gary said, we're not here to tell anyone necessarily what's racist or not. to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But for us, it didn't sit well.
Yeah.
It feels off.
Yeah.
It does feel off.
Next, we're introduced to...
Damn. Sorry, just going back. Damn was a 2017 album from Kendrick Lamar. And I think maybe that's why they did that, where he said damn. He started every sentence with damn.
I don't know. I'm not sure if they looked that much into that. Yeah.
Because he also says some very interesting and clever things. But again, it's not really dealt with or brought up. Why, why is the film having him say these clever things and being rational? And, I just wish it was a little clearer with that aspect, I suppose.
Charles and his family have breakfast, where Crystal flirts with the waiter, orders the calcium bomb juice, and warns Kara not to slouch because she'll get a hunchback and it'll turn boys off when she's older.
Yeah, so Crystal's thing is her calcium deficiency.
Yeah. The hotel manager interrupts the Kappa family's breakfast to invite them to the beach, and they accept the invitation. Edlib looks concerned about this and ignores Trent when he waves to him.
Patricia has a seizure at breakfast.
She does.
Charles helps, and Jaren speaks like he's AI.
So Charles is, I'm a doctor. And Jaren is like, my wife has epilepsy. I'm a nurse. My name is Jaren. Why is he talking like that?
It sounds like C-3PO, for fuck's sake. And this, again, it's the dialogue, it's the delivery. It really throws me off.
Yeah. But that's solved quickly. And M. Night Shyamalan drives both families to the beach. So, yeah, he gets his cameo in all his films. This one is a little
Does he do
too...
in all his films?
Yeah, this one's a little too extensive. Because he can't act. And that grows increasingly obvious with each cameo. He cannot act. And as he drives both families to the beach, Maddox listens to his daughter's song again.
Yes.
Charles asks him to help with the bags when they get there because we have an elderly person and a child.
Can you help us with these, please? We have an elderly person and a child.
But he's like, nah, I gotta get back, and then leaves.
Well, they've given him a fuckload of food.
Yeah.
And M. Night Shyamalan's character says, you need all this food because children eat a lot, and you have 3 children. Thank you.
They make their way onto the beach, and they find mid-sized sedan sitting there on his own. Guy's like, kids, look at the beautiful coral. And then,
which is foreboding as well.
Yeah, again. So look at the beautiful coral. That's literally our way out.
Like, literally, you should be looking at the beautiful coral.
And then Maddox spots mid-sized sedan. She starts clapping for some reason when she's talking. She's like, oh my god, that's mid-sized sedan. He's a rapper. More dough for the cooking.
Which I'm assuming is a song.
I hope it is.
For some reason, Priska asks Guy what book she's reading. And he says, I don't know. Why do you ask? No reason.
It genuinely is for no reason.
It genuinely is for no reason. What I'm assuming it is, Guy should... She feels unseen.
Mm-hmm.
And Guy should know. It's a big fat book. She's clearly been reading it for a long time.
Uh-huh.
He should know.
Mm-hmm.
And taken a vested interest in what she's reading.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, very interesting.
Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere.
No. The kids play a game where they chase each other, and when one taps the other, they just stay frozen in one spot. And this scene is really badly shot. Some of this film has some really nice cinematography. The beach looks beautiful. But then this scene, it's just really like fast-moving camera work.
I fucking hate the camera work in this film. I really fucking hate the camera work in this film. All of the sort of zooming around for no apparent reason, hiding certain things. I hate it. Weird angles for no reason. Yeah. It annoys me.
Next, they play hide and seek, and Trent discovers the corpse of a female companion who now looks like Lady Gaga. And of course, this is where we get her first, oh damn.
Death becomes her because she really looked like Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Pale, admittedly.
Yeah. And she has an owl on her necklace as well.
Does
Lady
she?
Gaga.
Oh, Lady Companion.
Charles grows suspicious of mid-sized sedan, who reveals that he has been experiencing nosebleeds because of his hemophilia. Now, this is where we start seeing the racism from Charles.
Yes. Yeah.
That's never dealt with, but we start seeing it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a difficult one. Because Charles does act weird towards him,
and also towards Jaren.
Yes, that is also true. Which says, he's bigoted, he's racist.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, it kind of is eventually made to be a symptom of his schizophrenia. Which, again, I don't know if that sits well with me.
No, yeah, because then even if, the portrayal of mid-sized sedan and the racism towards him isn't dealt with and is a bit iffy, then the mental health representation is even worse.
Yeah, because, what's her name? Patricia, is it?
Yeah.
Yes. So Patricia is a black woman, and she does say, she doesn't like what's happening.
Yeah.
But then that's it. That it's not mentioned again. Do you know what I mean? I kind of wish they would have stuck to something and dealt with it.
Yeah.
And went with it.
Yeah.
It's too messy.
Agnes's chest starts feeling funny, and Trent's swimming shorts get tighter. Jaren and Patricia finally arrive, and this is when we find out Patricia is not a fan of the situation.
Yeah.
Jaren walks into a cave and blacks out. He wakes up on the beach. Patricia tells me he walked back holding his head and fell over. After the children rapidly turn into teenagers and Agnes suddenly dies, the families conclude that the beach is aging them, with the occupants undergoing the equivalent of 1 year of aging every 30 minutes.
Which we know, but they don't figure out until later.
On. Yeah. Mid-sized sedan runs away and Charles chases him. But much like Jaren, they discover that trying to leave the beach results in them blacking out and waking up where they left.
Yes.
So Priska and Guy are like, okay, we need to go and have a parents' talk. And she's like, if I cry, don't let them see.
Yeah. Before the big reveal of Maddox and Trent's aging, Jaren and Patricia sit down with them and they try to guess their ages. And they're like, oh, Trent, I reckon you're 11 years old. Maybe no one talks like this.
No.
I reckon you're 11 years old. He says, really? I'm 6 years old. Right. No, you're not. Oh, they've been through a tough time. They found a dead body. Just let them say whatever they think. And then Priska comes along and says, anyone see my kids? They're like right in front of her. And she goes, oh, the kids are reacting to something they ate. I was like, really, bitch? Because she's a fucking know-it-all.
Yeah.
For a lot of the film, she's an absolute know-it-all. But even she got a question, like, oh, it must be something they ate. That aged them.
Yeah, they decide, Priska and Guy decide that they should ask Charles to look at the kids because he's a doctor. And they ask him, and in a fit of rage, he cuts a mid-sized sedan with a pocket knife, and the group watches as his injury quickly heals. Charles is like, listen, I don't know why I did it. I thought he was going to hurt me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Which is really interesting. It is.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting aspect of the film. His bigotry.
Yeah.
But again, not dealt with. It feels strange.
Yeah. It's a little trashy when you just throw it in there as a plot point with nothing, saying nothing whilst not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Charles has a look at his daughter and reveals she's now 13, but she turns 6 on Tuesday, and the dog suddenly dies, to which someone, I think it was Jaren, is like, the dog has died.
The dog has died. I like when mid-sized sedan says, this was supposed to be a Zen trip.
Maddox talks to mid-sized Sedan and tells him she has more colours in her thoughts now. She had colours yesterday, but now they're stronger. Whatever that fucking
What does that
means.
even mean? Stop wasting my time.
Patricia hosts a meeting and asks why everyone's there. Crystal reveals she and Charles are going through a rough time. Priska won't answer and says the kids need help because they're reacting to something. To which she starts having some sort of reaction herself.
Yes.
Guy then reveals that Priska has a tiny stomach tumour. And it suddenly grows a lot bigger. So they're like, Charles, you're a doctor, sort it out. So he decides he's going to perform a spontaneous CGI surgery to remove it. As he's about to do it, he turns to them and says, "Did you know that Jack Nicholson did a film with Marlon Brando? What was the name of that film?" So after his little test to see if anyone's a cinephile in the group, he does his surgery and it's successful. He does it there and then, gets it out.
As a cinephile, just so you know, it's Missouri Breaks.
Thank you. This,
which seemingly has no relation to any of the themes of this film.
No,
it's just completely random.
This is such a weird thing. Considering it's not a comedy, and I know you can include humour in horror films that aren't listed as comedies. I get it. This is a weird joke that keeps coming back
because it's not. The problem is it comes across as a joke.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
It is a symptom of his schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And we don't find that out until much later in the film. But it's so jarring that and because of the delivery and because of, for us personally, and people see things in different ways, but because we found the film so funny up until this point, we found this funny. And it's not meant to be.
No.
It's meant to be a symptom of his schizophrenia. But because the dialogue and the delivery of the dialogue has been funny up to this point, I couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And this random Jack Nicholson, Marlon Brando, I don't know why that was what was chosen. I don't know. Because it has no bearings on any of the themes of the film. It would have been interesting if it did. You know, it would have been like, oh, cool. Not everything has to be the height of realism. You can have those little jokes. You can, well, not jokes, but there's little references, the little Easter eggs, another part of the puzzle for the main theme of the film. If it was a film about aging, if it was because this is what the film is meant to be about, aging and how we each deal with aging. But it feels like parody. And the bit before Gary was talking about with Patricia, when she explains that, they need to form a bond. If they don't form a bond, they're going to make destructive decisions. And then it's basically everyone just revealing their relationship issues. That also felt like parody. It felt like it was parodying therapists, psychologists. Like, oh, if we don't all get together, we're gonna make destructive decisions, guys. And then everyone sort of just reels off their issues. And it felt like comedy.
And speaking of, after the tumour's removed, which we only see the last minute of, which thank God, because that fucking CGI is awful.
Yeah, well, everyone has to sort of put a hand in, don't they, to hold the wound open because it kept healing too quickly.
Once they take it out, she's like, "I just fainted." And Guy is like, "We took the tumour out. It was going to kill you." And she's like, "Guy, I feel better."
I feel better. Nice.
Mid-sized Sedan discovers that the body of female companion has fully decomposed in a matter of hours.
I hate that she's only known as female companion. Priska, being the know-it-all that she is, and I'm paraphrasing here, she says, "I'm not a forensic pathologist, but I do work in a museum, and I have seen human bones, and I know that a body will completely decompose after 3 years." So clunky. The dialogue is so clunky.
And then she's like, "Guy, you now have wrinkles." She tells everyone that judging from the kids, a half hour is equivalent to a year of their lives. And we get some great dialogue from mid-sized sedan to Patricia.
Oh, yeah. So Priska says, going by Trent and Maddox's ages and the time we spent on the beach, half an hour is equivalent to something like 1 year of our lives. This must be true for all of us. We just don't see it on everyone. And the camera pans to Brendan, who says to Patricia, you know, it's the first time they wish they were black. And I laughed because it's funny.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be. So well done.
Hopefully.
Old.
She tells them all about that. And Cara and Trent continue to age. And they have sex with each other. And Cara gets pregnant.
Yeah, thankfully we don't see it.
No. We do see her CGI belly, though. And Charles reacts to this by saying, Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando were in a movie together. Charles accuses Jaren of wanting to steal his wallet. So now, more racism coming out.
Exactly.
Whilst Jaren prepares to help Cara give birth with her bikini still on. So I don't know how that worked.
Oh, that reveal of her pregnant walking down the beach, it looked so stupid. It really did.
She gives birth.
Yes.
In a bizarre series of events, and the baby dies due to lack of attention and the time rapidly passing.
Yeah, so Trent says babies crying helps them breathe. We looked that up, didn't we, Mum? And Patricia says, we wrapped him around the towel to clean him up. Then he looked around and closed his eyes. We had him around the towel for 1 minute. Why are people so specific with these things? Crystal says he died from lack of attention, which I don't know why Crystal's saying that, because she was fucking lying on a towel down the other side of the fucking beach whilst her daughter was giving birth. So if it's a lack of attention, it's her attention it was lacking.
This genuinely shocked me when they went to the cinema. What the fuck?
And then Brendan, you know, mid-sized sedan, says things are moving too fast here for the baby to survive, which is true.
Yeah.
You know, so he did say these very...
He's like pointing out
clever
facts, though.
things.
He's just pointing out facts that are very obvious. And
Patricia then says, maybe we should all talk about what's happened. And I just feel like it's a parody. I just feel like maybe we should all talk about what's just happened. It feels like it's a parody, particularly Patricia.
Yeah. The attempts to leave grow increasingly tense as Charles' worsening schizophrenia causes him to increase his racism towards Jaren and kill mid-sized sedan.
Yeah, and they're playing this off as a really intense and shocking moment, but it's not working for me.
No.
It's not.
We all knew this is where it was going.
Yeah, essentially, but then it's kind of forgotten afterwards.
Yes.
Kind of, oh, okay, that happened, bye.
Yeah, Guy literally removes the knife from him and puts it in Priska's bag, and that's it.
Yeah. And he just wanders off somewhere by himself.
Jaren attempts to swim for help after he reassures everyone he'll be fine because he was on the swim team. Whilst Charles starts talking to himself, asking his mum to tell him what to do.
Yeah, they established that they were all chosen because of their medical history.
Yeah.
This is where they all realise that the majority of them on the beach have medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
Some very serious medical issues, both physical and mental.
Mm-hmm.
Jaren drowns. Doesn't
Yeah, well, first Priska tells Maddox that she had an affair when
Yes.
she found out she had a tumour.
Uh-huh.
Maddox walks off on her own and tells herself to be strong for everyone, but she walks into the sea and finds Jaren's corpse.
She goes for an angsty swim, doesn't
Does.
she, and finds his corpse.
Trent and Cara bury their baby, and Cara is fuming that the beach has taken their life away from them, so she tries climbing the rocks to try and escape.
Yeah, she says that they missed out on prom, they're going to miss out on all these things of growing up. They already have.
Yeah.
You know, they've already aged so much. They've missed out on high school. They've missed out on graduation. They've missed out on prom. And it's very sad and it's very interesting. And it's the key theme to the film.
Yeah.
And it's almost a touching moment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know, it's just shat out and left there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she gets near the top of the rocks, but then she passes out and falls to her death.
Guy says as she's climbing, there has to be a way out. It's a mathematical certainty. There has to be a way out.
Patricia says, I need to get to my sister. She's a therapist too. We fight a lot. She's older, but now I am too. She then has a fatal epileptic seizure.
Yeah.
And that's Patricia gone.
And Maddox says, as she's having this seizure, she says, she keeps stopping and starting. And
that's just a performance, son.
Yeah. But I wish they would have made their minds up about whether Maddox, Trent, and Cara should be acting childlike or not. Because they seem to know certain things, but Maddox doesn't recognize an epileptic fit. I don't get what they're going with there. Obviously, if you had the 3 adult actors acting like children, it's not going to work.
No.
It isn't going to work. So I understand what they've had to do, but it's muddled.
Yeah.
It's muddled. I just wish they would have had them maybe develop, mentally the same way they were developing physically, and then we wouldn't have awkwardness like that.
Yeah. Guy's eyesight blurs and Priska suffers hearing loss. Meanwhile, Crystal...
Ooh.
My back! I need calcium! Don't look at me!
Why?
It's the classic. The classic. We all know it. If we're all horror fans, we know it. We know it exists. Why it exists in the 2020s still, I don't know. The tale as old as time. A woman cannot deal with looking hideous or deformed. She cannot deal with not looking beautiful.
Please, I beg of you, anyone out there who makes films and is thinking of making a film about the horrors of aging, don't make it about a woman. Please make it about a man. We love hagsploitation. We love those kind of films. They're very entertaining, but we're past that now.
Yeah.
We are past that now. And that isn't to say that women aren't concerned about the physical and mental effects of aging. We all are. But why is it the female characters that always have to have this grotesque reaction to it?
Yeah.
The Miss Havisham bullshit. The, whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah.
It's had its time and it worked.
Yeah.
Mix it up, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, I need something new.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, she becomes a sort of monster character.
She does.
By the time she dies.
She does.
Before that, we get a really touching moment with some amazing line delivery from Guy. Priska, I have to tell you something. I saw your text messages one day. He says romantic things. I don't know who I would have been okay with, but that guy, he's joke. He's pretend person. You can do so much better.
Who? Like who? Like
the
why?
guy she had an affair with.
Yeah, no, I know that.
He's joke. He's pretend person.
Okay, but what does that mean?
This was the point in the cinema where I was nearly breaking.
Yeah.
Like, honest to God, what are you doing? What is this performance? What is it? Like, what is this delivery?
But why did she even have to cheat? Like, what, in terms of the film, the overall themes and the overall purpose of this film, why did she have to cheat?
Yeah.
Because it's taken up a little bit of screen time, but completely pointless.
Yeah.
Because, spoiler alert, he forgives her.
Yeah.
And they die within a fucking minute of each other anyway. And everything's fine.
Yeah.
So why have this cheating thing? Like, what is it trying to say? The idea that she had a tumour in her stomach made her go out and cheat. Okay. What are you trying to say about this? What is the reason for this? Why are you including this in the film? It's wasted time. It's wasted air. It's wasted minutes of my life and their lives.
Yeah. Now, let's not forget, this is based off a graphic novel. That's fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, this has been adapted into a film. Maybe change some... I'm not sure how accurate it is. I haven't read it myself. But if this is, spot on with what's in the book, maybe just change it up a little bit for cinematic purposes.
Exactly. Whoever wrote this, whether it be M. Night Shyamalan or the writer of the graphic novel, my question still stands.
Yeah. Well, Trent and Maddox discovered a notebook of a previous traveller along with indications of their being watched.
Yeah. There's someone up in the
Honestly,
hills.
if you're on a beach that's aging you every half an hour, I'm sure someone watching you is the least of your fucking worries.
Yes.
At night, Charles starts slashing Guy and Prisca in a schizophrenic episode. And Priscilla, Queen Prisca runs as Charles continues to attack Guy. She tells Trent and Maddox to run away and find somewhere to hide. Instead, they find Crystal, who keeps crawling towards them in a cave and is like, "Stop looking at me!"
Yeah, her hypocalcemia results... I googled that. Results in her bones rupturing, killing her as she crawls towards Trent and Maddox in a cave.
And rolls around on the floor for a bit, screaming.
It looks stupid.
It's so camp.
And she keeps going on about not looking at
don't
her.
look at
Don't
me.
look at me. I look hideous. I look this, that, and the other. I'm assuming they're going for Suspiria remake.
I don't know what they're fucking
The
doing.
effects looked much better in the Suspiria remake. Yeah, it's the grotesque, the hag. It's
because of her outfit and everything. It is camp. It is so camp.
Yeah, oh god, but it's what, 50 years too late?
It is
60 years too late. Change it up. It's 2021. It's a new century. Come on, guys.
Prisca returns and slashes Charles with a rusted knife, instigating a fatal blood infection that kills him. And we know this because she says to him, "It is rust. It acts like poison when it gets into your bloodstream." Yes, thank you, we get it. We got it when you stabbed him and he started dying. We get it.
Why does she have to say that? Like, why can't she just kill him? Why does she have to explain a rusted knife? I mean, it helps us as the audience, but why does he need to know this? Because the man, he's fully mentally ill now.
Yeah.
His schizophrenia has completely taken over. So it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
What is she saying to him? And she knows this. It's for our purpose. And then we have the moment where, we see the poison go through him and his face changes and that. And so you're trying to get a bit of body horror in there now. The film's trying to remember that it is a horror film. And it's like, oh, have a little bit of body horror with these two, characters that you didn't quite like, so it's all fine.
Yeah. An elderly Guy and Prisca make amends before dying moments apart from each other after Maddox sings Remain to them. So Priscilla got to hear her voice when she's older.
Stop with Priscilla. Who is Priscilla?
Oh, why do I keep saying it's Prisca? I don't know how many times I've said this, but I apologise. It's Prisca. It's not Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
So yeah, Prisca gets to hear a Nepo Baby song before before she dies.
With only the now middle-aged Maddox and Trent remaining by the next morning, the pair construct a sandcastle. They revisit a secret message given to them by Idlib, which Trent deduces is connected to an underwater coral passage. The message says, "My uncle doesn't like the coral." I mean, he could have just been talking about his preference in indie bands, but,
That's a fucking deep dive reference there. Not everyone's going to get that.
Just imagine.
Google the coral.
Just imagine if Trent did this a day early.
Oh, don't.
He's a kid who loves deciphering codes and everything. Why didn't he mention this the day before?
Literally. If he'd had it and he'd deduced the code, the serial killer code, and he realised my uncle doesn't like the coral, the very moment that Priska turned around and says there's something wrong with this bitch, they would have put two and two together, the coral.
Yeah.
Let's go. The moment. And it's I suppose it's not really a twist. Is the twist the fact that he could have saved them long before? Because it's not really mentioned.
No.
That...
No, the twist is coming up.
Yeah.
Believing that the passage will allow them to leave the beach without losing consciousness, he and his sister start swimming through the coral. After they seemingly fail to emerge from the water, M. Night Shyamalan, who is monitoring them, reports that the entire group has died. He gives this news to the manager, who mentions a previous incident where a guest almost escapes from the beach before announcing that Trial 73 has concluded, and that is the twist.
The twist.
It is revealed that the resort is a front for a research team from the pharmaceutical company Warren & Warren that was conducting clinical trials of new medical drugs which are administered to guests with medical conditions by spiking their drinks. Because the beach naturally accelerates the lives of the guests, the research have been able to complete the lifelong drug trials within a day. That is one of the worst Shyamalan twists, and it's so obvious what they're going for given the time that this was released.
Yes. Yeah, so it's absolutely a critique of the medical business.
Yeah.
The morals surrounding particularly American healthcare.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Used as a twist, I'm not sure if it's necessary.
No.
This isn't part of the graphic novel.
I have no idea.
It's never explained in the graphic novel.
Okay.
So it's never really... It's in the graphic novel, it's this beach makes people age rapidly.
Yeah.
And then comments on aging. And I haven't read it, but this is what I've gathered. And it comments on aging and our relationship with aging and all that business. Whereas, obviously, M. Night Shyamalan... It's his film,
Yeah.
so he has to have a twist.
Yeah.
This is what he does. But I feel like a lot of the marketing, or it was just my expectations, but I feel like going into the film, it was going to be a twist surrounding why people aged on the beach.
Yeah.
As in, it was going to reveal that it wasn't... a magical beach,
Mm-hmm.
and there was going to be an explanation for it, and that was going to be the twist, and it was going to be very clever,
Yeah.
and that business. But it's not. It is a supernatural beach.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't feel like a quintessential twist or an M. Night Shyamalan twist, because it doesn't necessarily make you rethink too much of the film. You don't have to have the flashbacks. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to have those moments where you're like, oh yeah, oh okay,
Yeah.
It is. There's hints to it,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean they're not that interesting. It's just like, oh okay.
On the bright side, part of the research team is Matthew Shear, who is Tony in Mistress America.
Right.
The researchers lure a new group to the beach, but are interrupted by Trent and Maddox, who survived their underwater swim using the notebook as evidence that they gave to vacationing police officer Greg Mitchell, who informs his boss of the researchers' crimes.
Oh, it's a good job Trent had a thing for asking people their occupations.
I know.
And, walking off straight away afterwards.
The researchers are mentioned to have been arrested with
Subpoenas.
Sent to the rest of Warren and Warren as Greg plans to reunite Trent and Maddox with their aunt. And as we get the end credits, you guessed it, we get Remain by Suleika Night Shyamalan again.
Hooray.
And that's old, and I can tell you, after watching this twice, I feel 20 years older.
Yeah. It's not good, girls. It's not. I did not enjoy it. There is some camp value, and sitting here discussing it with Gary has made me giggle. But watching the film, it's not the one.
I don't know how much I disagree, because I do to a certain extent, because I wouldn't recommend watching it twice.
No.
But I would recommend watching it once, because I can't tell you actually, it's a spoiler for, I'm going to say a little later on. But I think there's some fun to be had with this because of how bad it is. Like, because it's not the intention for it to be like this, because it's unintentionally funny. That always makes for a few chuckles.
That's true. That is very true.
Should we get to the awards?
Yes.
Tough one. Biggest queen. I went with Patricia, just because she speaks a bit of sense every now and then.
I suppose, yeah. No, I agree with Patricia. I went with Priska because she was a know-it-all.
Biggest gasp, I got the birth and death of Kara's baby.
Yeah, I went with the pregnancy reveal and everything that came afterwards.
Best dialogue, because it's not included in the film, we can't include the stuff on the trailer. I went with, sing it, girl, you have such a beautiful voice. I can't wait to hear it when you're older.
I went with, it's the first time they wish they were black. Because it was genuine giggle out of me.
And that's Cam. I've got Crystal in the cave yelling, don't look at me, whilst rolling towards the kids of the Packers family.
Mine was Priska's pronunciation of beach. Because it was high camp. High camp.
Ratings, I give it 2 films with Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando out of 10.
I gave it 2 female companions out of 10.
Masterpiece, trashterpiece, trash or basic. I think on a first time watch, this is a trashterpiece.
It's in that general trashterpiece area, but it is trash.
It's available on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, video on demand, and Netflix. And if you enjoy this, I recommend checking out The Visit, the better M. Night Shyamalan film featuring old people.
If you enjoyed the twist in Old, you're gonna fucking love Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. Which you should have already watched by now if you're keeping up with our Summer Screams episodes.
Very true.
Which are now over. For another year, Summer Screams is done. And what a way to end it.
It's a way to end it. Definitely.
We started in Buggy Creek and we ended on the beach that makes you old.
That felt like a million years ago, Buggy Creek.
So, we are Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We're Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm DeadEyeGaz92 on Letterboxd, Gazman205 on Instagram, and GazChris92 on Twitter.
I am Chris Barker823 on Instagram and Letterboxd.
And this Friday, September the 1st, we are reopening submissions for Gasp Horror Film Festival. Our festival specifically dedicated to minority filmmakers.
Yay!
Taking place in Manchester. So, Film Freeway. Check it out. If you're a filmmaker, give us your films. Let's watch them and see if we can put them on the lineup. Give us a rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, like and follow on everything else. We're back on Friday with our highlights from this year's Fright Fest. And next week, we will be back with more trash when we will be discussing the delayed episode that is Titanic 666. Turns out no one gave a shit anyway. There was no point us delaying the episode.
Well,
the amount of memes that came out of that incident with the divers.
That,
I mean,
yeah,
you know,
but for our own
not saying that we support rich people doing stupid things that lead to their demise.
Yeah,
but
for our own conscience, we thought we would delay.
Yeah, just in case. Don't get
highly
cancelled.
anticipated Titanic 666 episode.
We'll be back same time, same place on Friday.
Bye.